In 1979, the New Orleans Saints broke even with an 8-8 record, good for second place in the NFC West, and really good for them because it was a high watermark in franchise history. They won 8 games, went 500, thanks in large part to New Orleans' triplets offense. Now, Dallas quarterback Troy Aikman, running back Emmitt Smith, and wideout Michael Irvin were the first to be called the triplets during the Cowboys' dynasty of the mid-90s. And Indianapolis now has its own version led by quarterback Peyton Manning. But Peyton's father, Archie Manning, was one-third of the Saints' triplets attack before the term was even invented, alongside tailback Chuck Muncie and receiver Wes Chandler. Now, fittingly, the Saints' three-star show began the '79 season in a shootout against Atlanta.
The 1979 season began for the Atlanta Falcons in the New Orleans Superdome, a place which holds the fondest memory in Falcon history. Last year, Atlanta enjoyed their finest season and earned a surprising wild card berth in the playoffs. As Atlanta trotted on for the pregame warm-ups, it was ironic that the Superdome TV gondola was replaying the two most bitter moments of the Saints' 1978 season. New Orleans fans well remember last November 12th in the Superdome, when Atlanta trailed 17-13 with 19 seconds to play. Falcon quarterback Steve Bartkowski, number 10, threw up a prayer of a pass that was deflected into the hands of Wallace Francis, number 85. The play was called the Big Bend. It told the end of the Saints season and the beginning of the Falcon run to the playoffs. Two weeks later, in a rematch at Atlanta Stadium, these birds of prey snatched victory away again from the dumbstruck Saints. The Falcons trailed by the same score, 17-13, with but 5 seconds remaining. This time, Bartkowski picked out tight end Jim Mitchell, number 86, with the winning touchdown. These two incredible victories propelled Atlanta to a 9-7 record and the playoffs, while the Saints ended up 7-9. And what could have been ended up what was not for head coach Dick Nolan. Saints fans obviously do bear harsh grudges, and if the Falcons were to beat the Saints on opening day 1979, they would have to defeat a capacity crowd of 71,000 fanatics and 45 New Orleans players who had a score to settle and the weapons with which to settle it. Although optimism ran feverish on both sides of the Superdome, neither team enjoyed a good preseason. The Falcons lost all 4 of their games, while the Saints gained but 1 victory. Both teams were sore-pressed in their strongest areas. Atlanta's proud defense gave up 35 points a game, while New Orleans' powerful offense averaged only 7 points. Everyone tends to dismiss preseason, and so did quarterback Archie Manning, who led New Orleans to a touchdown on their first possession. The components of the Saints' offense are varied and explosive, and experts say that they have more talent at the skill positions than any team in pro football. A case in point is second-year wide receiver Wes Chandler, number 89, who has as much pure athletic ability as anyone in the sport. The Falcons live or die with their blitz, and Manning took early advantage of one by number 28, Frank Reed, by dealing off quickly to tight end Henry Giles. To defuse Atlanta's rush, Archie often used play action to spring open his receivers. Although this pass to Childs was ruled out of bounds, Manning again off play action climaxed this drive with a touchdown to Ike Harris, number 82. The Falcons secondary is midget-sized by NFL standards. And another look at the touchdown reveals that 5'9" Rich Bias, number 38, never saw the ball or stood a chance against the 6'3" Harris. On his second series of the game, Manning shredded the Grits blitz defense piecemeal in 2 plays. Archie's deceptive faking, maneuverability, and ability to throw on the go opened up the passing lane. The Falcons' penchant for gambling defenses betrayed them dearly. With every defender up and jamming the line of scrimmage, Manning audibled and caught them switching defenses in midstream. The element of surprise was enough to allow Chuck Muncie's flutter ball to reach the talented hands of Wes Chandler. Two plays, 66 yards, touchdown. The Saints led 14-0 and appeared headed to a big opening day victory. Steve Bartkowski had to solve a suspect Saint defense. New Orleans employs the same primary defense as the Dallas Cowboys, the flex, a formation whose primary function is to stop the run. To play the flex properly, you must have a good middle linebacker. And the Saints have Joe Fetterspiel, number 58. Unable to budge Fetterspiel or the flex rushing, quarterback Steve Bartkowski, number 10, began to unloosen it by passing on the early down. When a first-year cornerback like number 21, David Gray, came up tight, Bartkowski sent a running back steaming inside of him. By mixing his play selection wisely, Bartkowski notched the Falcons' first touchdown of the season. Alfred Jenkins' touchdown narrowed the score to 14-10. But today, the grit split seemed a poor match with the blitzkrieg swift scores of the New Orleans offense. Chuck Muncie's sudden and breathtaking 69-yard touchdown run should have sapped Atlanta's spiritual reserves. Instead, Steve Bartkowski took what was given him and began to outthink the ever-present Fetterspiel, number 58. Last year, Bartkowski emerged from seasons of injury and self-doubt to become the quarterback everyone expected him to be when he was the NFL's #1 draft pick in 1975. Bartkowski riddled the Saints' young, untested secondary and always found the one receiver who was single covered. Wallace Francis' touchdown made the score 21-17. It was surely time for Atlanta's defense to rear its ugly head. However, by this time, defense was an ugly word, as offenses on a rampage scattered defenders like dry leaves in a gusty wind. Once again, it was versatile Wes Chandler, number 89, that set the stage for another well-conceived drive orchestrated by Archie Manning. Manning, like Bartkowski, has seen several seasons ruined by injuries, but he took the early shots, and the late ones as well, better than those that delivered them. Archie's pinpoint throws and Wes Chandler's ability to find and curl up inside the seams of the Falcons secondary keyed the Saints' last touchdown of the half. A 4-yard explosion by Chuck Muncy. After 30 minutes of furious offensive football that featured an extraordinary 41-point second quarter, the Saints led at the half 28-20. Then Greg Brezina and his fellow Atlanta defenders were poised to stop the Manning machine in the second half. However, it was simply not to be. The reason: Chuck Muncy, who would show no lingering effects of his crippling knee injury suffered last season. His 158 yards this day were vivid proof for the Falcons. With Muncy occupying the minds of the active Atlanta linebackers, Manning, last season's MVP in the NFC, sought out his favorite target. Dependable Henry Childs' 53 receptions last season led the NFC tight ends in the catching department. His nifty sideline catch provided an opportunity for Muncy to meet Robert Pennywell, Atlanta's underrated middle linebacker. Despite Pennywell's exploits, the Saints managed a field goal on the drive and increased their lead to 31-20. Their fortunes would now rest on Coach Dick Nolan's recently installed flex defense to deny Atlanta, the team who denied the Saints of a playoff berth last year. Flex or no flex, third-round rookie pick William Andrews found the Saints secondary easily accessible. Steve Bartkowski found them easily exploitable. Wide receiver Wallace Francis, coming off a commendable 78 season, found easy pickings on short routes and then on deep ones. Francis' 21-yard reception brought the Falcons to within 4 and silenced some critics. There are many around the league who feel Atlanta will not challenge the Rams in the NFC West for their lack of firepower. This quick strike should serve notice for the skeptical. Another look reveals a gaping lack of consistent play in Dick Nolan's secondary, a problem area which must be remedied if the Saints are to continue to improve. Nevertheless, a real strength possessed by Nolan is his quarterback, Archie Manning, a now healthy 9-year veteran who's in his prime. The other asset is number 89, Wes Chandler, only an NFC sophomore who continued to outjump the tiny Falcon defenders. Chandler's big gainer had the Saints in range, and Manning decided to go for 6. Four-year veteran Frank Reed was responsible for terminating Manning's effort. Reed is a member of a tough Atlanta secondary, which is often forced into single coverage due to the blitzing strategy of head coach Lehman Bennett. His step gave Bartkowski a chance to direct the Falcons downfield and an opportunity to take the lead from New Orleans. It also provided Manning with a moment for circumspection. Bartkowski was ready to work, and the Auburn University rookie William Andrews would be his prime tool. The Robert Newhouse style of Andrews could provide the Falcons with a consistent backfield performer for the future. He'll be needed. Well, the Falcons were second to last in rushing in 1978. His 23-yard gain sparked Atlanta. Running back Bubba Bean's sneaky exit from the backfield and into the passing lanes moved the Falcons closer to taking the lead. Atlanta would capture the lead behind a burrowing rookie whose name should now be familiar, William Andrews. Andrews' first touchdown as a pro accomplished two things. It provided the Falcons with the lead and capped a 167-yard rushing day. Not too shabby for a fifth-round draft choice. The Falcon front stifled the Saints, and Steve Bartkowski possessed enough wisdom to stick with a good thing. "18 more yards put Atlanta in a position to pad their lead, but Bartkowski would meet with misfortune. Misfortune in the name of strong defensive end Joe Campbell forced a key fumble. Trailing by 3 late in the game, Manning knew it was imperative to attain field goal range. Field goal range for Russell Erxleben is any distance within the state of Louisiana. Chandler's 27-yard sky grab got the Saints near midfield. Another completion would make it an Erxleben chip shot. Henry Child's timely grab did the trick, and Erxleben's foot did the rest. A highly respected athlete and kicker from the University of Texas, Erxleben had miles to spare on the 33-yarder. Unfortunately for the rookie kicker, his Saints teammates were called for illegal motion, nullifying the attempt. Regardless, he split them on the next try, and the game was deadlocked at 34. With time running out in a pressure-packed tie ball game, Steve Bartkowski chose to squeeze the most out of the remaining seconds of play. Alfred Jackson's grab stopped the clock, and Bartkowski resorted to some ad-lib offensive strategy. Bartkowski's strength as a quarterback is his poise and accuracy. Often injured and not regarded as a Jim Zorn-like scrambler, his 18-yard gain was most uncharacteristic. It also left him in pain. An attempt at a 52-yard field goal failed, and Archie's Army had 3 seconds left in regulation time. Chandler's aerial wizardry completed a 6-catch, 205-yard day. A truly remarkable feat. But now it was time for overtime. Twice the Falcons had edged the Saints in '78, stripping them of a winning season. After nearly 8.5 minutes of the overtime period, the Falcons pulled off a third miracle as Erxleben prepared to punt. Grabbing the ball at the 2, Erxleben tried to avoid a safety by passing, only to have rookie James Mayberry pick it off for a bizarre 6-yard interception return and a Twilight Zone Falcon victory. What followed needs no description. It was less than a year ago that the Falcons danced on this southern end of the Superdome AstroTurf after searing the Saints with only seconds remaining. The Falcons had begun this 1979 season in the same miraculous manner that they concluded last year's, when they won 6 of their 9 games with less than 2 minutes to play. A look from the upper deck reveals exactly how it happened. And after it all, the Saints find themselves merely a game behind Atlanta with 15 more to play. Nevertheless, after 3 strikes with the Falcons, Archie Manning chose not to throw in the towel, but to hide beneath it. Such is the way of life in the National Football League. The final score, Falcons 40, Saints 34.
The thrills of this memorable matchup didn't translate into winning seasons for either side. The Falcons went 6-10 before a bounce-back season in 1980 when they earned an NFC West title. The Saints were not as fortunate. After a groundswell of interest following its 8-8 season, New Orleans dropped to 1-15 the next season. In fact, the Saints never once posted a winning campaign with Archie Manning at quarterback. His legacy in New Orleans is a bittersweet one. A great pro player who never reached the playoffs. Still, Archie Manning has since passed along his NFL wisdom to 2 of his sons, Peyton in Indianapolis and Eli in New York.